Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Driver's Garage. It's time to get the 428 running. As you've been following along on this build, this engine is for my 1964 Galaxy. We wanted to make the engine. I built the engine myself. Okay. So, well, I didn't do the machining, but I did assemble it, and I mean everything. So I got the barrel block, and I put the crank rods, pistons, and a whole shebang on it, everything. So now it's time to see if I actually did it right. And I'm going to do an extra step on this. Instead of throwing it right in the car and hope it runs, I'm going to put it on an engine run stand, because you know what? I bought this engine on a run stand. This 428 was actually originally an irrigation pump engine from the early 70s. And it ran, a big water pump and filled the fields with water. The bean fields or corn fields or whatever. This is Nebraska. It's one of those two. So, I still have that run stand, and I will show it to you. Okay, here is the run stand. It doesn't look like much, does it? I mean, it's just some brackets and a bell housing, and then there is the radiator for it. That is actually the same radiator that would be in an early 70s Ford F550 or something. And then somewhere up here on the shelf, there it is, hiding behind everything. That is the control panel for it. And that's all it really is. When it was connected to hang on a second. The camera didn't like the lighting, so this lever here would engage the clutch that was in here in the bell housing, and then there would be like a PTO unit or whatever, and it'd start turning a shaft. It would turn a water pump, and fill the fields with water. So the cinder blocks are there to help me. I'm going to put the thing on cinder blocks, and what that does is it allows the legs of the engine hoist to slide underneath of it in order to get the engine on the stand. Now, I'm not exactly sure if the motor mounts are the correct ones for this stand, and if they're not, that means I got to go back to the storage unit, and I just took all my other parts back to the storage unit, so I might have to do that. But first things first, I got to take a bunch of stuff off that I'm not going to be doing right away. I'm going to take some stuff off the engine, and then it's like the exhaust manifolds, the distributor cap, carburetor, because I'm going to use a lift plate, and a few other things. And then that way I can put it on the run stand. I'm going to be using different manifolds on the run stand. They're over here. Oops. These are truck manifolds, the medium duty truck manifolds that went to the medium duty truck heads that were originally on this thing. And the other one's behind there. And the reason why I'm using these is because they have these pipes on it, and I need to get the donut back in here, and then I can add my flexible tubes and these mufflers that I went dumpster diving at the exhaust shop for. They're over there to run the engine and make it a little bit quieter. Then that way, if I can actually hear the engine run. So if there is a problem, I can actually hear it. Because if you're just running open pipes and you have a rod knock, you'll never know it. As you can see, I got the engine dangling from the engine hoist. Got the engine off the stand, and I just put the flywheel on. This is a McLeod flywheel I got from them, 28-pound steel. And then it's part number 26263-215. This one's for internally and externally balanced engines, and 428s are externally balanced. Is the only FE engine that is. Their long stroke requires a weight on the backside of the balancer, on the backside of the flywheel. They consider it a 28-ounce imbalance. So this is when I got this far putting the engine on the stand. I got it all bolted up. Started hooking up the control panel to the engine. And then I forgot all about the intermediate plate that I forgot originally is the wrong damn one. So the bolts don't line up for the starter. Yeah. So I think it's time I took a break and drink a beer. So, because I got to pull the engine off the stand, pull the flywheel and the clutch off, pull the block plate off, change the block plate, put the flywheel in, and then put it all back on the stand and start all over again. Yeah. 428 is kind of gone home. It's back in its engine stand that it came out of originally. It'd be the world's prettiest irrigation pump engine now. Got the big radiator on it. This thing holds like about 6 gallons total. This is actually, there's a Ford part number on it somewhere, and it says it's a medium duty truck engine radiator. I got to do the exhaust. I got to prime the engine, then put the distributor back in. I have over there I have over here I have a gutted distributor that I use for priming the engine. And then the gauges are hooked up. The circuit board, I gotta figure out one wire. I gotta remember where this one wire goes. This one right here. It's to the starter solenoid. I forget where it goes. It's got a little small terminal on it. So maybe it goes to the ignition. I don't know. Anyway, we gotta figure that out. That might be for the starter to give juice to this ignition during starting. That's what it's for. Yeah, that's what it's for. That's the ticket. And then the radiator's full. I spilled water on the floor, and before that I spilled oil all over the floor. Here's a clue. When you put on a brand new oil pan, before you put oil in the engine, make sure the drain plug is tight, because they're never tight from the factory when you pull them out of the box. Yeah. That was a waste of about $3 worth of oil. And then the antifreeze, I didn't have the heater hose on the fitting down there. Down in there, can you see the fitting? Where's the fitting? There's the fitting. Where the hell is it? There it is. Where is it? There it is. It's hiding. Anyway, so when I filled the radiator up, it got to that point, it started spitting out right out of the heater hose. And it now has a loop on it because I don't have a heater hose on, a heater core on this engine stand. And so we should be ready to roll by tomorrow. So I am pulling the engine off for the 3rd time because I have to change the block plate again because I can't remember what I did 5 years ago. And it's a kind of an interesting fact here that this engine is perfectly balanced level if the 28-pound flywheel is on the crank. And it wasn't dripping any water out of the radiator hose until I took the crank off, the flywheel off the crank, and then it tilted forward and poured a gallon on the floor and 4 or 5 ounces back in the bucket before I got it back underneath there. So here we go again. So I'm going to use my 1/2 horsepower 7-amp drill to prime the distributor here, and I think 75 pounds is good for priming with a drill. What do you think? Not bad. This is fine. Yeah, this is not sketchy. One little bit. Nope. Let's see what happens when I hit the starter button. Oh my God, it actually sounds pretty good. Holy Toledo. It doesn't sound terrible. And the starter didn't fly off.
Oh, shit.
Okay, she is all ready to go, except for I haven't hooked up the fuel yet. But this is my exhaust. These are 2.5-inch flex tubing, 6 feet long or 8 feet long, or whatever they are. And there's a pair of mufflers here that I found in the dumpster at the local exhaust shop. It's alright, I paid them for them. And then I just got to hook up the fuel line and the carburetor. Oh yeah, my starter set up, because I'm using this crazy bell housing from a medium duty truck on this run stand. It's the only way I can get the starter to line up with the engine flywheel. It actually doesn't sound half bad, actually. I mean, listen.
Oh, wow.
It fired. Oh, wow. Let me get the camera on a tripod. Okay. Let's pour some gas down the carburetor to get it primed at least. See if the fuel pump picks up any fuel. There we go. Alright. Probably should have earphones on or earplugs or something, because I'm standing in between these things. Alrighty, see what we get. Oh, okay. Oop, it's leaking fuel. Of course, it's leaking fuel from that stupid fitting. That's not good. And where is it? Huh. I can tell what fitting is leaking from. It's always something. Always something. Grab some paper towels and clean up myself. I'm gonna get a little more fuel at idle. Maybe it'll be happier at idling. Start with the standard Holley setup, you know. The Holley setup was like a turn and a half out. Let's see what we got. never really check the timing until if it's retarded, it can get the engine hot. Ooh, she got a little warm. Got a little warm. It was like 2:15. Though that could have been the timing. I really didn't check it. I just kind of spun the distributor until she started running. Ooh, there she goes. She's peeing a little. Let her cool off. Oh. Man, I can't tell you how relieved I am right now. I was pacing around like a cat behind the camera for the 20 minutes breaking it in because you're always worried about something going wrong. It didn't leak oil, it didn't leak water, but she did get a little bit warm, though I didn't really check the timing. I just turned the distributor until she was running. But I wanted to get the cam brake in as soon as possible. I'm gonna let it cool off, go eat lunch, and set her up. But she sounded pretty good when I got her idled down a little bit, didn't she? Stress, stress, stress. Hopefully she just holds up. If you made it to this point, I want to thank you for watching. There's some other people I'd like to thank for as well. Start with the UEM pistons, then Icon Forge pistons that they have in one of their lines. United Engine Machine, that's what they are, UEM. They helped me with pick out the side of pistons on this and sold me a great set of pistons. I would like to thank my friend Dan Parker, who did all the machine work on this engine. And even though I assembled it, he did all the machine work. He balanced the crank, he did the heads and all that for me. Thank you very much, Dan. You did a great job, obviously, because it runs fantastic. The other thing, a person I'd like to thank is Chad Reynolds for all of his support. He runs, he's partners, owns bankshift.com, and he has great support on his website. Check out website bankshift.com if you haven't been there. It's automotive content for guys who like gearheads, all kinds of different things from different forms of racing and such. And I'd like to thank all my enabling friends to keep pushing me to go on with this, when all I wanted to do was push this whole car into a river and forget about it and sell it off. Now the next step it is to do is to get the engine in the car, and so we got to get the car out of storage, and then I got to clean it up because it's got like 5 years of dirt on it, and then get the engine in. I'm going to do as little as possible to change anything on this. So I'm going to pull the carburetor off, obviously, but I'm going to drain. I got to drain the radiator. I'm going to change the oil now because it's got break-in fluid and crap in it. So, but I'm going to leave the distributor alone. I'm going to change the exhaust manifolds, put the ones that were on in the car originally. I really should do headers, but that's for another time. And I really want to thank you for watching. Thanks a lot. So if you like this kind of videos, watch, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I appreciate your support. Thanks a lot.